Hello, I'm Dick Hatfield, the Bubba-in-Chief correspondent for WBLY-TV, the station that's not on your side. Today's top story hopes to answer the question, was there a 13th apostle named Elmer? Here's what some of our viewers had to say. Do you think there could have been a 13th apostle named Elmer?
I do believe that there was.
So we asked Doug Guggenheim, the bartender, do you think there was a 13th apostle named Elmer?
Absolutely. He was the smartest one of all of them.
Was there a 13th apostle named Elmer?
Elmer?
Elmer.
No.
No? Okay. Was there a 13th apostle named Elmer?
What?
Was there a 13th apostle named Elmer?
Probably.
This question was first proffered by Bob Shea during Retreat Week at St. Raphael's Church in 1951. Here's Bob in his yearbook, graduate of 1953. He submitted this challenge in a question box to be answered by a visiting priest from the Cincinnati diocese. And now, some 60 years later, let's visit Bob and find out why. So the big question goes back to 1951, and you were a sophomore at Catholic Central, and it was Retreat Week, and we were asked to put inquiries in a question box at church, and you put in, was there a 13th apostle named Elmer? Why'd you do that?
Well, it was a retreat. Actually, we were going to school, and it was a retreat for the whole week. And these girls at school were putting these crazy questions in, like, is it a sin to hold hands? Is it a sin to go out on the beach in a bikini? And all of these crazy questions going in there. So a good friend of mine, Elmer Burkhardt, was talking, and we were joking about it. And I said, you know, we got to liven this thing up a little bit. These crazy questions are bothering me. So we decided between the two of us that we would inquire about a 13th apostle named Elmer, after my famous friend Elmer Burkhardt. And we put the question into the box, and as the priest was pulling suggestions out, he pulled ours out, and he started laughing up on the podium. He thought there was a little levity in it. Of course, the Sisters of Charity didn't think there was any levity at all.
The whole class was in the church at the time.
The entire...
Was it the whole high school?
The entire high school.
Yeah.
We were all four classes. All
so
four
about
grades.
500 are in
about
there.
500 plus in the church. And of course the question brought a little rah from the students, and but the nuns didn't think it was funny at all. There was absolutely no humor in it to them at all. But it was
so did the nuns call you on the floor over it?
Well, later in the story, as the story goes, we were called, and it was quite an investigation, I'm sure, about as to who put the question in the box. But I was a sophomore in Sister Julie Loretta's homeroom, and I always had an assigned seat at any student assemblies. I ought to be seated next to her. And some way the word got out that I was the perpetrator, that I put the question in the box, and the nuns all decided that the principal, Sister Catherine Tracy, decided that the person who put the question in the box would make an open apology to the whole school, and we did so in an assembly down in Hoban Hall. And she called me up, and I was sitting next to Sister Julia Loretta, actually, and she said, well, the person who's going to make the apology come forward. And I stood up, and Sister Julia Loretta looked at me, and she said, I should have known it was you. I should have known it was you. And anyway, I had to go up in front of the whole school and make an open apology, because they didn't think there was any humor in it at all, and there was not an apostle named Elmer. We did disclose that.
There is none.
There is none.
And you know, there is no Saint Elmer either today. I Googled Saint Elmer, and there is none.
Well, perhaps when Elmer Burkhardt gets to heaven, and I'm sure he's there, perhaps in years to come he'll be canonized.
Would you do it again if you had the chance?
Absolutely.
Ordinarily, about halfway through this interview, you'd see the two of us walking down the street, gesturing and talking for effect. But it was too cold out. I'm Dick Hatfield. Tune in again next time for a story you'll only hear on WBLY TV.